Detroit, March 31st, 1968. While America burned from King's assassination and cities exploded in rebellion, 500 black revolutionaries gathered in a basement to do something unthinkable. They declared independence from the United States itself. They elected a president living in exile in Cuba, drafted a constitution, demanded 5 entire states as reparations for slavery. 3 years later, the FBI would bring tanks to a simple house in Mississippi to crush their dream with bullets and lies. Everything you've been taught about black liberation is incomplete. This is the story they tried to erase. The Republic of New Afrika and the Black American state that white America destroyed. While civil rights leaders marched for integration, Malcolm X stood before crowds demanding land back and financial compensation for centuries of stolen labor. Malcolm understood what most didn't grasp. Economic independence required territorial control. In his 1960 Boston speech, he declared, "The United States must compensate us for the labor stolen from us." But he went further. At Organization of Afro-American Unity meetings, Malcolm outlined a specific vision. Black Americans should demand territory in the American South, where they constituted the majority population. Malcolm studied the creation of Israel, Pakistan's independence from India, and liberation movements across Africa. He told followers that Reconstruction had failed because freed slaves received no economic base, no land, no reparations to build independent communities. When assassins silenced Malcolm in February 1965, 2 brothers in Detroit had absorbed every word. Both had attended Malcolm's meetings, studied his speeches, and understood his blueprint for territorial independence. Following King's assassination, these brothers decided Malcolm's vision needed immediate implementation. Meet the intellectual architects of black independence: Milton Henry, a prominent Detroit attorney, and his brother Richard Henry, a technical writer for the U.S. Army who understood government systems from the inside. Richard Henry transformed himself into Imari Abubakari Obadele, adopting a Yoruba name meaning "the king arrives at home." Born in Philadelphia in 1930, he had protested military segregation, co-founded organizations fighting job discrimination, and hosted W.E.B. Du Bois during his 1953 Philadelphia visit. By the 1960s, Obadele possessed the intellectual framework and legal knowledge to draft a constitution for an independent nation. Milton became Guide Obadele, and together they established the Malcolm X Society in 1967. They studied international law, researched successful independence movements, and identified the legal grounds for Black American self-determination. Meanwhile, in Kalamazoo, Michigan, college student Edwin Taliaferro experienced his revolutionary awakening on April 4, 1968, watching news coverage of King's assassination. The son of Detroit civil rights activists, he would later change his name to Chokwe Lumumba, honoring the Chokwe people of Central Africa, and Patrice Lumumba, the Congolese leader killed by Western forces. These men represented something unprecedented: Black intellectual nationalists with legal training and the organizational skills to transform revolutionary theory into governmental practice. Before we continue with how these revolutionaries built their own nation, if you believe these hidden histories of Black resistance need to be told, subscribe to Black Stories Untold and help us spread the truth they don't want you to know. Now, back to the video. The Malcolm X Society convened a Black government conference in Detroit. Over 500 delegates arrived, representing every major Black nationalist organization across the country. The conference drew heavyweight figures. Queen Mother Audley Moore, the 69-year-old veteran who had fought for reparations since the 1920s, became the first person to sign their Declaration of Independence. Betty Shabazz, Malcolm X's widow, accepted appointment as second vice president. cultural nationalists, Revolutionary Action Movement founders, and SNCC veterans attended. In one revolutionary weekend, delegates drafted the Code of Umoja Constitution and selected 5 specific states: South Carolina, Georgia, Alabama, Mississippi, and Louisiana. These choices weren't arbitrary. Delegates had studied census data and identified counties where Black Americans constituted clear majorities in the former plantation economy. Their demands staggered the imagination. $400 billion in reparations, equivalent to over $3 trillion today, plus territorial control of the Black Belt South. They demanded the right to hold a referendum allowing all African Americans to choose their citizenship. They elected Robert F. Williams as president. Williams, the former NAACP leader who had advocated armed self-defense, fled to Cuba in 1961 after FBI persecution. From Havana, he had broadcast Radio Free Dixie to Black communities. Williams accepted the presidency and proposed diplomatic initiatives for the new nation. By April 1968, the Republic of New Afrika existed as a functioning shadow government. By 1970, RNA leaders purchased 20 acres in Hinds County, Mississippi, chosen because it sat in the heart of the Black Belt where African Americans constituted the majority population. They established El Malik as their national capital, naming it after Malcolm X. They constructed meeting facilities, agricultural operations, and housing for families relocating from northern cities. Armed security units called the Black Legion patrolled the property, openly carrying legal weapons. RNA implemented Ujamaa economics, Tanzania's cooperative system where communities collectively owned resources and made decisions through democratic assemblies. The Code of Umoja Constitution established the People's Center Council as the national legislature, with representatives elected from RNA communities across the United States. By 1971, RNA operated schools teaching African history and Swahili, provided medical treatment, and ran economic cooperatives producing food and crafts. The organization provided what they called the 6 essentials for human life: food, housing, clothing, education, medical treatment, and defense. Chokwe Lumumba joined as second vice president in March 1971, attending the Land Celebration Day ceremony dedicating their capital. But federal authorities were monitoring every move. Flashback to March 29, 1969, RNA's first anniversary celebration at Detroit's New Bethel Baptist Church became a battlefield that previewed the government's strategy of overwhelming force against Black independence. Reverend C.L. Franklin, Aretha Franklin's father, rented his church for the weekend celebration. 200 men, women, and children gathered for speeches, cultural performances, and the reading of RNA's accomplishments during their first year. Outside, armed Black Legion guards provided security, a common practice for RNA events given constant threats from white terror groups. At approximately 10:30 p.m., as families prepared to leave, Detroit police officers Michael Chapsky and Richard Warbeck observed the armed guards and approached to question them. According to police reports, the guards opened fire, fatally wounding Chapsky and injuring Warbeck. Within minutes, over 40 heavily armed police officers stormed the church. They trained weapons on families inside, including elderly people and children as young as 10 years old. According to newspaper accounts, officers may have exchanged shots with a rifleman near the altar and someone firing from a concealed position in the ceiling. The assault left 4 church attendees wounded and resulted in 143 arrests, nearly everyone present regardless of age or involvement. Police dragged families from the church at gunpoint, separating parents from children and holding everyone for hours without charges. The next morning, Black Judge George Crockett Jr. ordered most defendants released, recognizing the raid as police provocation rather than legitimate law enforcement. Crockett's decision enraged Detroit police and local media, who demanded that he be removed from the bench for coddling extremists. For RNA members, the New Bethel incident served as a brutal education in federal strategy. The government would characterize any RNA gathering as criminal conspiracy, justify overwhelming force against Black families, and create legal pretexts for mass arrests. 3 RNA members were ultimately acquitted of all charges related to Officer Zapsky's death. But the message became crystal clear. Black independence would be met with state force designed to terrorize entire communities. The incident drew national media attention to RNA while demonstrating that federal authorities had no intention of allowing Black self-determination to succeed peacefully. The FBI conducted extensive surveillance of RNA families and members. They created detailed files on RNA members' personal relationships, financial situations, and daily activities, information later used for harassment and intimidation. COINTELPRO agents infiltrated RNA meetings with provocateurs instructed to promote conflict and internal discord. They forged letters on fake RNA letterhead, sending inflammatory messages to Black Panther Party leaders designed to provoke armed conflicts between organizations. FBI documents reveal attempts to recruit Jewish Defense League members and Klan sympathizers for attacks against RNA members. The strategy targeted every aspect of RNA's operations. Agents disrupted land purchases through legal challenges, spread rumors about financial corruption among leaders, and coordinated with local prosecutors to ensure maximum sentences when RNA members face charges. By sabotaging every RNA initiative, from cooperative businesses to educational programs, federal agents aimed to create evidence of Black incompetence and internal dysfunction, justifying continued white oversight of Black communities. 2 years after New Bethel, federal authorities implemented their strategy with military precision against RNA headquarters in Jackson, Mississippi. August 18, 1971, 6 a.m., 15 Jackson police officers, 14 FBI agents, and highway patrol units surrounded 1148 Lewis Street, RNA headquarters. Inside, 7 people were sleeping, including Tony Austin, a pregnant 21-year-old. The officers carried warrants for 4 individuals, none actually in the house. The warrants appeared to be pretexts for a premeditated assault on RNA leadership. FBI agent James Salmon announced, "This is the FBI. You have 1 minute to come out." After exactly 75 seconds, Agent William Crumley fired tear gas through a window. A 20-minute gun battle erupted. When the shooting stopped, Lieutenant Lewis Skinner lay dead. Patrolman Billy Crowell had lost his arm. FBI agent William Stringer suffered a leg wound. 7 RNA members surrendered and faced arrest, joined by 4 others arrested blocks away, including President Imari Obadele. The 11 arrested revolutionaries, the RNA 11, faced state charges of killing and sedition. 8 received convictions with sentences ranging from 7 years to life imprisonment. Obadele served 17 months before winning release on killing charges, only to face federal conspiracy charges in 1973, receiving a 7-year sentence. While RNA leaders languished in prison, their organization's central leadership structure collapsed by 1975, though local chapters continued operating independently across the country. Chokwe Lumumba channeled his rage into legal advocacy. After graduating first in his law school class, he built a national practice defending political prisoners, including Tupac Shakur, revolutionaries facing government persecution, and victims of police brutality. In 1988, Lumumba returned to Jackson, Mississippi, the same city where federal agents had brought tanks to destroy his movement. Working as a public defender and community organizer, he represented the same judicial system that had railroaded the RNA 11. In 2009, Lumumba won election to Jackson City Council. Then in 2013, the impossible happened. He became mayor of Jackson, the same city that witnessed RNA's destruction, now elected a former revolutionary as its highest official. Lumumba's mayoral slogan, "One city, one aim, one destiny," deliberately echoed RNA's vision. His platform emphasized participatory democracy and cooperative economics, practical applications of RNA principles. When Lumumba died in office in February 2014, his son Chokwe Antar continued the legacy, winning the mayor's office in 2017. Two generations of RNA revolutionaries now governed Mississippi's capital. RNA's destruction revealed why federal authorities invested such resources in destroying Black independence. An independent Black nation would have eliminated extremist justifications for poverty in Black communities. With their own land, courts, and economy, Black Americans would have been immune to redlining, educational exclusion, and the prison systems that generate billions in profits today. Today's struggles continue RNA's legacy. California's reparations task force proposes payments echoing RNA's $400 billion demand. H.R. 40 carries forward their legislative strategies. The FBI's 2017 Black Identity Extremists memo reveals identical surveillance tactics now targeting modern Black activists. The Republic of New Afrika still exists, headquartered in Washington, D.C., with thousands of members demanding the same 5 states and reparations. Every movement for Black self-determination walks in RNA's footsteps. The Republic of New Afrika was the Black American state that white America destroyed. But their vision lives on in every person who understands that true freedom requires controlling your own destiny. If this story inspired you, subscribe to Black Stories Untold for more histories they tried to erase. Share this with someone who needs to understand that Black people have always fought for liberation, not just integration. And if you want another incredible story of Black resistance, check out our video about the Black senator that terrified white America, Robert Smalls. This man was born in chains, stole a Confederate warship, and ended up in Congress. You won't believe what he accomplished. Until next time, and remember, free the land.